And I go back in and she's thrown up in the bathroom sink.
Oh, no.
Right across from the basin. And this sink, announced to her, it didn't drain properly.
This is Wild Yarns with Samara and Sheri.
G'day and welcome to another episode of Wild Yarns. Now, Sheri and I are in studio today with Siobhan. She's a hairdresser, and I feel like hairdressers are the absolute gatekeepers of all the secrets. You unfortunately end up being everybody's therapist, mum, like consultant. You guys know everything. Yeah. Tell us a little bit about how you got into hair, where you're at now, where people can find you if they want to look you up.
Yep. So I own a business called Siobhan Hair Artistry. It's actually within a collective salon called Cliff at Newport. So we are a collective of hair and beauty businesses all under one roof. So we've got my business, lashes and brows, beauty, cosmetic injectables, everything. One-stop shop.
You never have to leave.
Yep. In the amazing suburb of Newport. So we're in the brand new Newport Marketplace. Nice. So everything's so nice, right on the canal. But yeah, I have built my business up from being mobile. So I used to go to people's houses. My business is actually about 6 years old at the end of this year. Yep. So I used to go to people's houses, take a portable basin, a bag.
Stop.
Yes.
Stop.
Slug it out.
That sounds like us back in the makeup days where we were taking lights and chairs and all the makeup.
And also it was very interesting to see how people because you wouldn't know what you'd walk into, and then they'd put you in a cupboard, like a Harry Potter cupboard to do hair and makeup, and you're like, oh, this is fucked. I need my own light in here.
Honestly, some of the things that I've walked into being mobile. You would almost call you'd call someone.
Some sort of emergency services.
Yeah. Or I've had people actually ask me to watch their kids.
Stop. They did.
Watch their kids so that they can go pick up their other kids from school because we've either been running behind or something. I remember this woman, I was running a bit late, so I totally understand it, but rocked up to her house, chucked her foils in. She's like, look, just got to go pick up my kids. My toddler's fine. Can you just look after her while I go get my kids? And I'm just standing there like, yep. And I was
the biggest people pleasers, right? You're just
I know.
Sure.
No worries. Yeah. And so she leaves and me and this toddler are just staring at each other like, you good?
How long were you alone with someone else's kids?
Honestly, it was probably maybe 15 minutes or so. Yeah. So it wasn't a long period of time. Yeah. I was more worried about, are her foils going to be ready?
Are they going to over-process?
Yeah, she's there in the pickup line with her foils in. But yeah, it was a wild ride. And then I had to start working from home because I just got way too busy.
Amazing.
I was 6 months, I think I was mobile. And then, I just got so busy. And also it's so freaking tiring.
It is.
Going from house to house.
Cleaning your shit.
Yep.
I feel like.
Carrying it.
Yeah. And I feel like, and I don't know if you guys felt this, looking back on it now, I feel like I undercharged grossly for how much I charged to, because it's such a, I guess, luxury to have someone come to your house and 100%. Do your hair and makeup. And I was like, I'm not, in the time it takes me, by the time I get there, I do my job, it's like a half day gone. And they're like, oh, it's only a 45-minute service or an hour service. But you're like, mate, I had to drive here, clean all my shit. Mm-hmm. You're carrying a bloody sink, man.
I know. I've got the whole sink in the back of my car, walking up their fucking driveway with this plastic sink.
Yes.
And I was only charging, literally, I was probably charging maybe about $110 for a full head of foils mobile. And this is 6 years ago. And now I charge $379.
Yeah.
Starting prices.
Yeah, normal.
Cost.
How did you get into the mobile hairdressing? Because I've never really heard, obviously we were makeup artists and it's quite the norm to be a mobile makeup artist.
Yeah.
But I've never really heard about mobile hairdressing.
So I had actually just moved back from the UK. I was living there for a couple of years with my ex. I won't talk about him. But I was living there for 2 years in the UK. And when I got back, I also backstory, had done nursing as well. So I did enrolled nursing when I moved to Brisbane. And when I moved to the UK, I kind of just did like admin, temp stuff because you still want to get around and travel and everything. You don't want to be tied down to a full-time job. But when I moved back to Brisbane, I was just thinking in my head, like, I don't know what I want to do. I was at that point where you're starting fresh again and you just have no idea. And I knew that I didn't want to get back into nursing just because the only things around was like aged care. And like that's a whole nother that's a whole nother conversation.
Nursing is a hard job.
Yeah. I was
do not blame you for that.
Yeah. I was having a conversation with a client about that on Saturday, how bloody hard it is. But yeah, I didn't want to get back into nursing. And so my mum at the time was working at a salon in Narangba where we all kind of lived. And she got me a job there. And I was only there for about a month or 2 months, and the owner ended up firing me just before Christmas, saying that like I wasn't the right fit and all that kind of stuff, like very last minute on a Saturday afternoon. And I was just devastated because like it took a lot being out of the industry for so long to kind of be like, okay, I'm going to get back into it. And I had no clue what I was doing. Like I still had the knowledge in my head, but then when you kind of try and find your feet again and all that knowledge starts to come back, it takes a lot. And then the next week, my mum ended up quitting on the spot. She's like, nah, fuck you guys, not working here anymore. And I just thought, stuff it, I'm just going to go get a bag full of colour. And I just started like throttling the Facebook pages, marketplace, community pages. I actually started an Instagram, which wasn't meant to be for my business, but it ended up being the thing that helped grow my business a lot because I just posted all my photos onto there. So that's basically how I got into mobile, and then it just took off. Like people just started referring people, and then I started doing like a lot of blonde work. So I was getting all these people saying, oh my God, I love my friend's blonde hair. Like, can you do mine like that? And I'm like, oh, okay. So it just kind of happened.
I love it. Yeah. My hairdresser, and I think it's interesting, I was saying to my hairdresser the other day, it's probably one of my longest relationships because you get a good hairdresser. This woman has been through so much shit with me because, like, she started doing my hair when she was at Stefan's, and she just, like, I never went to her at Stefan's, but she was like, oh, I want to do, you know, she'd do a night that she'd do all our mates' hair, and then it just continued on until she got her own salon and stuff like that. So she is definitely heard some shit, that's for sure. And I imagine the same with you with your clients, because you find a great hairdresser, you just hang on. Like, I feel like every single time I've cheated on my hairdresser, like I've gone to someone else. One time, like she couldn't get me in. Honestly, it's my fucking fault. I didn't book until the 11th. It's mine. I'll own that. If it's am I the asshole? I was the asshole. And then I booked in with some guy who my friend was seeing, sister. He's like, my sister will do your hair in our garage, and do it cheaper. And we're like, okay, we'll go to the sis because we can't get into our normal girl. I didn't know shit about hair back then, and it was the bleached blonde ashy era. It was when it was that like grey old lady hair era. That was like the trendy thing at the time. This woman, and I had like, I used to do a scalp bleach, so my scalp would be on fire because I have a very fucking sensitive scalp. I have had milk poured into my hair. It's I've gotten to the point of the milk. Anyway, that's like, they're like, fuck, get the milk. Nobody's getting coffee this morning. Anyway, so that happened. Anyway, this person did my hair in her garage. She, I didn't know shit about shit, but she didn't just put the bleach on the little bit of my scalp. She pulled it all the way through. My hair fucking fell out. It just went like, I was in the shower and I've never seen anything like it. It almost went to jelly. It just was like jelly and it fell out.
I had to no return.
I couldn't even hide it from my hairdresser because I had to call her and I was like, babe, my hair's falling out. And it was like, I looked like a Barbie that had just been chopped up because my hair was so damaged. We did like a keratin treatment, which gave it something. But it was back in the era of hair straightening, like that really straight hair. So I'd want to straighten my hair every day, and I'd be straightening it, head just fall out all over onto my shirt. And so I don't cheat. Don't cheat, no.
Don't cheat. And in saying that, I still have clients that I did in the first week that I had my mobile business that still come to me now. Like Love the it. Loyalty is so good. And even just from mobile or like home hairdressing days, I have so many clients that still come to me. Like majority of my client base for myself now is clients that have been coming to me for ages.
So something that we actually got, we put up, and just anyone listening, whenever we have a guest on or we're doing an episode, we'll always put a speech bubble up where you can ask the guest your own questions. One of the questions that came through is, have you ever found anything random tangled in someone's hair?
Look, I think you guys know what's coming.
Literally. No! Come!
Look.
Oh, wow. Just
that took me a few seconds to get that pun.
I immediately got there. I was like,
look,
I get it.
Again, when I was working from home, I feel like all my good stories is when I was working from home because people didn't give a fuck. Like, they were at my house. Like, people rocking up in pajamas, no shoes, or they could just get in real comfy.
They've recklessly abandoned themselves.
So I had a client come in from a night out. And so
straight in.
So my Saturday appointments have always been at 8 a.m. Like I want to start early. I want to finish early.
Nice.
I don't want to be hanging around too much. And so she walks on in and she's got her heels and,
straight in.
Straight on in.
God. She was committed to
that hair appointment. She knew she couldn't get in for like months.
Slap a rocker in and get on with it.
She's good. So she like sits down and, I cape her up and like as always, we always brush people's hair before we start. And so we're talking. She's like, oh yeah, went out last night. I'm like, oh yeah, I had a good time. She's like, oh, I went home with this guy. And first of all, I'm like, yuck. Like that's a bit gross.
Glen 20.
Glen 20. And I get to the front and I'm brushing. And the brush gets caught, and so I grab my comb just to try and get it out more. And as I'm brushing, I'm like, oh, what's that? And I look up, and we make eye contact in the mirror. And she starts pissing herself laughing, and I'm just standing there like, oh, like what the fuck? And
you just realised you've got some random strangers coming.
Your dried cum shards.
They're like breaking up and going into the air, and I just drop her hair. I'm like, you are a dirty bitch. I'm like, get to the bathroom, put some shampoo in this, and then come back. And like we laughed about it, afterwards. But in the moment, like, thank God I had some Dettol nearby to put on my hands. It's just one of those things that's always stuck with me. And like, note to people: we want your hair dirty, not that dirty.
Yeah, like
we don't want it to be that dirty. Like 2-3 days tops.
Yeah, not a whole
and pre ejaculation.
Not bodily fluids. Well, I saw that TikTok of like this guy had dreads and he's like, oh yeah, one of them's like hurting me, and then the guy's like going for it, and it's like the person that's helping him, and he's like, I think there's something in here, and the guy's like, oh, but like, don't cut my dread off. Like, and he's like, well, I'll try to like untangle it, but I think you've like there is something in here. He's like, do you wash your dreads? Like, how do you look after them? And the guy's like, oh, I don't really do anything. And he pulls out like a baby lobster.
Oh,
like,
could you imagine?
That's some fine dining shit.
Yeah, it is.
And like, it's like this little, but it must have like at some point when he's like gotten in and just got tangled, and this guy, because he wasn't like washing his hair or doing shit, he's had this dead animal.
Oh, was it dead?
It was dead.
I thought it was coming out like singing The Little Mermaid or something.
No, because it was like being in there. He's like, oh yeah, my hair smells a bit.
Oh no.
Like, I'm sorry, but like you leave seafood for like a day and it smells. Like,
that's the thing about dreads.
But but the guy the whole time on the TikTok was like, don't cut my dread off, you need to save it. And I was just like, if someone told me that there was a dead animal, I'd be like, take the hair.
How did it get in there? Was he a surfer?
Yeah.
Fuck, alright, that makes sense.
I'd be like, yeah, just cut it, get it out now.
Yeah,
No.
I dated one guy with dreads,
I
and he
think
always
everyone's
stunk.
dated a guy with dreads.
And he stunk.
No?
It always stank. Don't do it.
Yeah, it's so
dumb.
gross. And the pillow is always like
oily
and like dirty and brown. I dated a guy with dreads too.
dank.
He ended up cutting them, and then we broke
Well,
up.
if you're going to get them, you need to do like the correct maintenance.
Yeah.
It's like anything. If you make a commitment like that, you need to look after it.
Yeah, right. So client stories, some stories.
I've got some if you want me to.
Yeah, you kick off.
Am I the arsehole for forcing my stepdaughter to cut her hair? I, 31, met my husband, a 34 male, 8 years ago, and we've been married for 6 years. He has an 11-year-old daughter from a previous relationship. I work from home, so I mainly end up taking care of her, and I have since she was young. We have a generally good relationship, and she stays with her mother most weekends. She has incredibly long blonde wavy hair just past her bottom. It's a nightmare to take care of, it frequently tangles, and she always needs help with brushing and styling it before school. I am not a morning person, and I do not like having to wake up extra early to do kids' hair. It's expensive to maintain as she requires more products and insists on using hair oils which cost around $11 and only last a few weeks. She also insists that she has to use a curly hair shampoo instead of a regular shampoo and conditioner, which is over $10 per bottle, and she goes through this at a really fast rate. She won't use any regular brush and insists it breaks and hurts her hair, so she must only use a wide tooth comb, which takes a long time to brush when she could be doing other more productive things such as homework or helping me with the chores.
And this child's 11 years old.
Yes.
11.
Imagine how much of a pain in the ass when she's a teenager, an adult. Oof.
She's like, I need K18.
Yeah, I can't do this.
I decided she had become obsessed with her hair, and I do not want her to become vain, so I decided it needed to be cut. I don't see it as a big deal as I've always had shoulder-length hair, and my hair does not grow really fast, and I get it frequently trimmed. It's just a lot more practical. I took her to the hairdresser as normal, and in the car on the way there, she said she wanted to make sure that the hairdresser doesn't cut too much. I politely explained that I would cut her hair to shoulder length as it has become a burden. At first she thought I was joking, but when she realized, she started to cry. When we got to the salon, the hairdresser was reluctant to cut her hair due to her tears, but I explained the trouble that we will have maintaining it and assured her that cutting it would be the best thing for her. In the end, the stylist agreed to cut her hair. The stylist braided her hair and then cut it and let her keep the braided hair. Her hair was now...
As like a parting gift. I know I've just traumatized you for life, but here's your ponytail.
Yeah. This can go with your Barbies.
Her hair was now just past her shoulder length, and she looked a lot darker as all the blonde ends had been cut off. The car journey home was silent. I offered her McDonald's, but she refused. She went straight to her room when we got back. My husband went up to see her when he got home and apparently found her in the bed, sobbing, holding her hair.
Actually holding the ponytail. That's mean, but fuck. And you know it's serious when she refuses McDonald's.
Yeah, I know.
That's real serious.
My husband immediately called her mother to come and get her and collect her. As soon as my stepdaughter was out of the door, he started to yell. Her mother also came in and gave me a mouthful. I explained my reasons, but my husband wouldn't budge. He said if I had issues with doing her hair in the mornings, then he could have just done it instead, and he didn't mind paying the extra for the products. He was so furious that he said he no longer trusted me around his daughter and doesn't know if he can be with a woman that he cannot trust. This broke my heart. I didn't mean to harm her. I was just so tired and I was just trying to reduce my stress. I've always been the one that does her hair and I'm just really exhausted. Am I the arsehole?
Fuck yes.
Yes.
100% yes.
Yes.
I think so. I think her reasons for doing it were really lousy. I get it. It's interesting. I had some other stories written around this same sort of thing. And I think it's the reasons behind it. Like, I get it, and I can empathise with it being an extra effort, but it almost comes across as a little bit of a jealousy thing. Like, you know, why are you so fussy about how much things cost if your husband's not fussed paying for that and that he's in a position to be able to do that.
Also, she said that she's like, I have shoulder length hair and I can manage it fine. Yeah. And then put that
and she does mention that like her hair's quite slow to grow. So it comes off as like this little girl has very beautiful blonde hair and it's a little bit of like the evil stepmother. Yeah. Like she's taken Cinderella too much to heart. Yeah. And kind of punished her for she's getting a bit too vain about it.
I feel like there's probably ulterior motives there.
Yeah. Definitely
aren't just
does
about
seem
the
like
length of her hair. Yeah. We do get it sometimes where we don't really promote kids' haircuts or anything at the salon because we're kind of like more of an adult like retreat. We don't promote it, but we do sometimes have teenage boys that come in. And we sometimes have teenage boys come in with their mum and they sit next to them and they just like go, do this, do that. Oh, cut more here, cut more there. And just recently we had someone in and the son was just getting so fed up and started raising his voice and stuff. And we're just like, oh, come on, like calm down a little bit. Yeah. But I feel like it's with kids and their hair, just let them grow it. Like if they want to grow their hair, just let them grow it. Obviously, if you're doing it, it's a bit of a burden, but you know.
It does seem like from this story where the husband was like, if this was the issue, I would have just done it. Yeah. It doesn't seem like she's raised it as an issue at all. She's just gone, I'm going to get it cut.
Yeah.
Right. What does the internet say?
All right. So the internet says, you stripped a little girl of her pride and joy because you're not a morning person without consulting her parents. No wonder the dad is thinking of divorcing you.
Oh, no.
It is clear that this little girl was really proud of her hair and took care of it. The evil stepmother couldn't handle that and took something that was clearly important to her away. What a massive arsehole.
Oh.
A lot of people are saying that she is the perfect Disney villain.
Yeah, that kid's not going to get over that.
Yeah. I feel like it does carry on into people's like adult lives though. Like the amount of clients that I say, you would look so good with just like a long bob, like not even a bob, just a long bob. Like it would suit you so much. And they're like, nah, my mum had my hair cut into a bob when I was a kid. I'll never do it. And I'm like, yeah, but you were a kid and you were probably, it was probably against your will. And so like they just have that, traumatized by that. Yeah.
Oh yeah, I guess hair is very personal and it's kind of like the way that you, like, the way you style it or the way you do it is a really big reflection of yourself. Yeah. And to have someone to just be like, this is what you're doing, we're cutting it or we're doing anything, it does, would give you a bit of an impact.
Yeah.
Have you ever had any sort of strange requests or requests that you're just like, I can't believe I fucking did that, or anything like that that's come up in your career that's like, wow, or even something you want to flex that you've done?
So, look, there's been so many that I couldn't even like pinpoint it, but I think the one that comes to mind most, and I hated doing it, like I hated it, but you know, like Christina Aguilera Dirty?
Stop.
You know? Or like Kelly Clarkson.
Wait, when was this? Was it during that time, or
it was like, you're like, it was just last week?
Yeah, it's coming back. No, this was when I was working from home, and so she came in, she showed me the photos, and they were like thick, black, chunky foils, and I said to her like, "Oh, look, are you sure? You sure? Do you want me to just like make these a bit finer, blend them in a little bit more?" Because I do a lot of like lived in or just all over blonde kind of like looks. And she's just like, no, I love this. And I'm like, okay. And I like reluctantly did it. And when she left, I felt like I did a disservice. Like I felt like, oh, I can't believe I charged you for that, because
you would, and she probably loved it. She was like,
she
was
living her best life. She was referring people. Yeah. They're like, you did Linda's hair. We love it.
Yes.
It's all coming back. Like I'm seeing people get like the face. Is it like a face piece? That's what they call it.
Money piece.
Yes, like the old Ginger Spice money piece coming
Or
back.
Cheryl from Puberty Blues.
Yes.
You know?
I remember when I was young, I used to like pull out the two. I'd like string them out.
What were they called? Slut strands.
Slut strands are back. Back again.
Yeah. Even my niece this sounds bad. This is the kind of auntie I am because I don't have kids of my own. But even my niece, like from like 10 years old, she would pull out the fronts. I'm like, oh, you got slut strap style. My sister's like, shut up.
I didn't know this until quite recently. My hairdresser told me I had a fucking bald patch. It's like growing back. I had a full-on bald patch. Remember the bald patch? We were at, I was with Sheri actually. We were at Riverfire. Someone took a photo of the back of my head looking up at the fireworks. It was actually a really lovely photo. Some rando took it. And there was just a whole bald patch, like a very visible bald patch. And
I'd say like the size of like a 50-cent piece.
Yeah, it was like solid.
You were like Kourtney Kardashian when she had her bald spot and Kim's like, I'm dying for you. Like, we got to go to the hospital.
Yes, I honestly, and I had to, it's sort of growing back. I wonder if it's coming back.
I think it's pretty gone.
I know, I had to take the hair vitamins, and my hairdresser told me, and she's like, babe, there's some fucking solid bald patch back here. And I was like,
was it stress?
Yeah, I think it was stress, because she goes, it's that pattern alopecia that you get from stress. And I was like, fuck this. No. My bald patch seems
it just makes you more stressed too.
It does, knowing that it's there.
I was like, fuck, I've always wanted, and it's been so annoying. So I found out about the bald patch last year. It's on the upward swing.
Yeah.
I want to just put my hair in fucking little baby girl pigtails. I can't.
You can't do it.
Because the bald patch would be very prominent. Like, I'd part my hair and it'd be like Moses parting the seas with hair.
You could do a zigzag part, though.
Stop.
And zigzag
of course,
around.
the zigzag
Yes.
zig around.
I just saved your spot.
Oh, man.
I just saved your life.
Yeah, so that was bloody my hair emergency. But have you ever saved the day? Any emergencies that's popped up in your career?
Look, I had a hair emergency on myself.
Ooh, go on.
And it's very similar to what yours was.
Oh, no bald patch. No, surely
not bald patch, but
thank God.
your melting.
Oh,
your melting moment.
Oh, a melting moment. That I've never seen the texture of hair go like that.
I know.
It was just like jelly.
I know, it's ridiculous.
And she was like, "Oh, it's cool." I'm like, it's not.
So this is when I had just started mobile, and it was about 2 or 3 months in, and I started getting my nails done at this place, and I was talking to her because I hadn't found a hairdresser yet, but I thought, I'm a hairdresser, surely there's another hairdresser out there that I could swap services with. Like, seemed okay. And she's just like, oh, my best friend's a hairdresser. She does my hair. Like, she's amazing. Like, I'll give you her details. You can go to her. So I teed up with this hairdresser, and I said to her, like, look, if I come over and I use your product and then I can bring my product over, we can kind of like swap. So we had to do it on separate days because our schedules just never lined up. This particular day, I went over and I did her hair. Amazing, obviously. And amazing. She loved it. And then the following week, I was going over and she was doing my hair. Now, my hair at the time was very similar to what it looks like now. Yeah. It probably had a little bit more blonde.
Just gorgeous.
To paint a picture for people listening, it was just probably like a year grown out brown with like blonde on the ends, basically. And so I said to her, I want to start going back blonde again. I understand that's going to be a process. I'm a hairdresser. I know this. She's just like, yep, got you. I sit down, and she had a home salon set up with like a basin in the room and everything, but her aircon was broken, and it was in February, so it was still really hot. And so she started foiling the back, and she's just like, oh, look, I don't want these to develop too quickly because we all know that heat makes it process quicker. So we ended up going into her kitchen, and she keeps foiling, and I'm looking at the clock, and I'm just like, oh, God, this is taking like a very long time. And then she's like, yep, finished. We sat there for probably maybe like another half an hour, and she checked some of the foils. She's like, yep, all good. Let's go to the basin. As we were walking down her hallway, I saw my reflection in her hallway mirror and noticed that there was no hair sticking. You know how you people who get foils don't know that there's little hairs sticking out here and there. Like, it's not like every strand of your hair
it's very thin.
Foiled. Like, you kind of have hair sticking out.
So was it like a big beaver tail just folded up?
It was so I just couldn't see any hair. It was just all foil. And I was just like, okay, it's okay. Maybe she's just like pulled my hair that's sticking out around the back and like clipped it up or something. I had all the faith. And we get to the basin and she's pulling all the foils out and she's just like, oh, this looks really good. I'm like, oh, yeah. Like, I'm going to be a hot blonde bitch when I walk out of here. I'm thinking, yep, got this. And then she's like, yeah, your hair feels really soft and everything. Because I said to her at the start, like, oh, I am worried about the blonde on the ends. Like, so maybe we can just like do a bit of a lighten afterwards on them to brighten them up a bit. She's like, yep, got you. And then when she was rinsing out, her next client had come. We didn't realize how late we were running. And so I said to her, oh, don't worry about toning it. Like, I can tone it myself. I'll go home. And so she's rinsed them all out. She's shampooed it, towel dried it, and then just clipped it up straight away with one of her clips. And then I've paid her for her time. Her clients walked in. Her client's like, maybe I should have known in that moment that something something was wrong, because the client looked at me and she was just like, oh, hey. And I'm like, hey, okay, bye, and like leave. And so I hadn't seen anything at this point. And I get into my car and in my rear vision mirror, I look and all I see is, have you ever had where the lightener comes out of the foil and it goes onto like your scalp and it leaves like a line? Has that ever happened to you? Or like it goes onto the scalp and it goes like a little bit orangey?
Yes.
Like,
yeah.
has that ever happened?
Yeah,
like that. And so that basically means that the lighteners come out of the foil due to like, you know, the lightener expanding or poor placement, like things like that. And so I look and there's just like all this orange down my part and the rest of my hair is pure white. Like pure white. So instead of doing a full head of foils, like traditionally, she's gone in and just done foil and not left any hair out whatsoever. So it's called a platinum card ultimately.
Yeah, right.
Where you leave no hair out. And so I'm sitting there and I'm like deep breathing. I'm like, Siobhan, it's okay. You can tone this down. You can do a root stretch. Like, it's fine. Like, you know how to fix this. And so I'm driving home and I stop at these lights and the clip kind of like just dropped to the back of my to the back of my neck. And I've gone to get the clip to clip my hair back up. And as I've pulled the clip, this ball of my hair comes with it. And I kid you fucking not, the amount of hair in that clip was, you know, when you haven't cleaned your hairbrush in a couple of months and you kind of pull that little toupee.
Yeah, like tumbleweed. Tumbleweed of hair.
A bird could build a nest.
Yeah, literally. I almost took it home for a bird. But I ended up like just sitting there looking at this ball of hair in my hand and it was pure white, like it didn't have any other colour pigment to it. And I'm freaking out the whole drive home. I'm trying not to look at myself, like I need to get home safely. And I get home and I was living with my sister at this time and her partner was home and I walk in and he's like, what's up with
Men just are savages because they just don't even know.
They don't know. And he's just like, what is up with your hair? And I'm just like, don't even talk to me. And I go into the bathroom and I pulled the clip out and every bit of hair from my chin down was just coming away.
Wow. It's a very strange thing, but I can empathise with that.
Like coming away. I actually have
Do you have a photo?
Yes. I've got an album called Hair Disaster that even has screenshots of like me and this chick's conversation afterwards because I was like, what the fuck happened? Like how did it get to this point? So that was it.
Babe, you're like a really badly toned Khaleesi with just one little ratty.
So see all the hair there that kind of looks wet? So my hair was dry, but all the wet bits are that jelly that they won't dry. So when the hair is damaged to the point that it has nothing left in it, it won't dry properly. Like it takes forever to dry.
Yeah,
so because it's trying to hold on to as much moisture as it can. So that was my.
Oh wow. You were a blonde bitch.
I did leave a blonde bitch, but it was horrible.
Hot, yes.
Yep.
Yeah, you got a shag cut.
I got a shag cut
Holy.
without wanting one. But it was a bit horrific, and I messaged her, and it's so fucked up because I'm such a empathetic person that I was more, as devastated as I was more kind of thinking, oh, I can't call her now. She's got a client there. She's gonna like freak out. But she would have already knew before I left.
Yeah, yeah.
And like
as a professional, if that was if the roles were reversed, you'd be like,
100%.
I can't let her walk out.
100%. I would have gone out to my other clients saying, I'm really, really sorry. Like I need to cancel your appointment at this point, but I have something that I need to sort out.
But imagine being the client that saw you as they're walking in. They're like, did I just make a mistake?
Yeah. No. And I don't know. Okay, so she ended up giving me my money back, which was fine, and offering me like treatments and stuff. But there was nothing she could really offer me that I couldn't do myself.
Yeah. And the trust is gone.
The trust is gone. So it probably took maybe like 2 or 3 years to grow that out. And from then on, I've always stayed this kind of colour now.
Wow. Similar thing happened. Yeah. I left my platinum blonde days, and just because I couldn't really dye it, I couldn't style it, I just embraced my natural brown, which actually turned out to be quite a nice rich brown. So I was like, oh fuck.
Yeah,
lucky.
that's
Could
the
be
same
worse.
as me. Like I get my hair done like twice a year now.
Yeah.
Just because I'm traumatized.
Traumatized about it.
Alright, so the next story that I have for you guys is one again from Am I the Arsehole? And it's, am I the arsehole for buying my girlfriend really shitty hair products after she complained I spent too much money of ours on my daughter's hair? I, 44 male, have a daughter, 19 female, who lives with me, and a girlfriend, 38 female. My daughter has really curly frizzy hair called C3 hair. I'm black and her mum is mixed and she is mixed and needs certain products like hair mask treatments that can be quite frequently pricey. Her shampoo and conditioner bundle alone is £22, which to me is cheap compared to Australian prices. Like, you get some Kevin Murphy for $70 a bottle.
I know.
She also needs certain treatments and oils that are also expensive, and she pays rent while doing schooling, so I don't charge her for things like this, as I make more than a comfortable living making 6 figures a year. Last week, my daughter needed to restock most of her hair products, and the total of them alone, the shampoo, conditioner, 2 hair oils, a bottle, a hair mask, a new diffuser as I had dropped hers and broken it, and a hairdryer, and it all alone came up to £43.
Oh my God.
That is not much.
Yeah,
no.
That is, girl math that.
Yeah, girl math that. Use that diffuser every day.
It's free.
It's free.
When my wife saw this, she said that my daughter will have to use less expensive products as it is so much money on hair, and that is ridiculous. But I said that she doesn't understand the maintenance of black curly hair. She needs to keep it healthy, and using bad products could destroy her curls or dry her hair out. She still said it was too much on hair and that we were spending too much money on her. We have a combined finance, but I supply about 85 to 90% of our funds, as my wife works as a baker full-time and doesn't make much money at all. I decided that if she thinks that we are spending too much money on hair products, that I would buy her really cheap products to save the extra money. I went to the shops and she said she needed more shampoo and conditioner, so I got her 2-pound bottles.
Dad chose violence. Dad didn't
It's like
give a fuck.
equivalent of fruits. Fruits, it's like $2.
Yes.
That's some dollar store products.
Yeah.
She's been saying the products have made her hair really dry and her scalp really itchy, and that she wants to go back and get her usual products. I said that we wouldn't be able to, as we're spending way too much money on hair products, and that my daughter requires these products and she will have to do the same, so we need to save money. She got really pissed and said that it was different as her products only add up to £9, but I think I was proving a point and I wasn't actually going to make her keep these products. I just hid her usual ones and gave them back to her after she complained. Am I the arsehole? Was I in the wrong?
Yes. So petty. There are many roads. You know what? To begin with, when I heard the story, I was like, preach, Daddy-o.
Yeah.
You're looking after your daughter.
Yeah.
Ethnic hair is it's a whole different ball game in terms of maintenance and upkeep. So I preach, do that. Then he just went full petty with his wife where he's like, I hid her hair products and bought her $2 ones.
But it doesn't sound like they are going nuts on the daughter's hair products.
No, I don't
And if he
think so.
earns good money and he's paying like 80 to 90% of the bills, if he wants to buy her these products, just let him. And like, it is like, for people with like European hair, it's a completely different game. You can use some dodgy products and your hair still looks like generally the same.
Yeah.
But it's not the same if you have like the really tight curls because like the oils can't get down as easily. And so it's completely like there's treatments, everything's different. And it does sound like his partner is not like of the same race. So she wouldn't have any clue into the maintenance behind it.
So much maintenance.
But I do like to see a story where like the dad stood up for his daughter.
I like that.
Yeah, stand up.
All right, let's see what the people are saying. Honestly, £22 on shampoo and conditioner sounds reasonable. I've easily spent about $35 on a conditioning treatment tub that's lasted me for 4 treatments. I'm not black and I do not have curly hair. And though your wife is an idiot, if she can't understand the difference between the hairs and what it is required, I think you need to have a proper talk to her. It sounds like your girlfriend's remarks came out of a very misplaced jealousy, and I think you've definitely proven your point here. Although maybe you'll need to have a serious discussion with her with all of these underlying issues.
Interesting, and we were just talking about it then. It's like a lot of the hair stories and the things I was looking up and I found are more about the people than the hair. And it's like, oh, it's about the hair, but it's fucking actually not. It's about, this human interaction that's happened. I did get a story I found online, which is sort of along the vein of, and I'm like, neither of us have children, so no one in this room has children, so I didn't realise it was such a big deal. And I get it. Now I read these things and I'm like, oh, yeah, fair enough. Similar one. Am I the asshole for taking my daughter to get her hair cut when I knew it would upset my wife? Me, 29 male, and my wife, 30 female, have a little girl, 8 female, who we will be calling Anna. Now, Anna has very thick, blonde, curly hair that my wife adores. Ever since she was a toddler, she would spend hours doing her hair every day, braiding it, straightening it, styling it in all sorts of ways. Our bathroom cabinets are always filled to the brim with a bunch of hair oils, lotions, creams, and other fancy products I don't even know the name of. So I think it's more than fair to say my wife's a bit obsessed with this whole hair thing. Anna, however, has never been fond of getting her hair done. Anything that involves having her sit still for more than a few minutes annoys her. Before she got it cut, her hair used to reach past her waist, and while it looked lovely, she hated getting it brushed every morning, and it used to be a screaming fest between her and my wife. Lately, she's been begging for a shorter haircut. My wife ignored her whenever the topic was brought up in the hopes that she'd forget about it. But none of that ended up happening. I think Anna realised she was getting nowhere with her mum because she started asking me to take her instead. I was reluctant to at first because I didn't know how my wife would react, but I agreed when I saw how excited the kid was over something as simple as a haircut. So yesterday, I drove her to the hairdresser where she got to flip through a lot of magazines and pick a picture of a haircut. And when she chose a really short, clipped cut, I knew that it was going to be in deep shit with my wife. At that point, though, there was no turning back. I mean, what could I have really done? Told her no, she can't get the haircut that she was so over the moon about, all because her mum wouldn't like it. I couldn't do that to her. So we went ahead with the haircut, and by the end of it, Anna could not stop smiling. She went around the salon showing everyone and even asked me to take a bunch of pictures, even though she normally hates getting pictures taken of her. We did get one rude comment from an older woman in the salon, something along the lines of, you can't even tell she's a boy or a girl now, but Anna was way too excited about her hair to even notice. And if she did notice, she did not care. When my wife got home from work that day, though, things quickly took a turn for the worst. She refused to even look at Anna, locked herself in the room and cried and then got in the car and drove off. It's been a day now and she's still not back. It's honestly starting to worry me. I knew she wouldn't react well to the haircut, but I wasn't expecting her to take it this badly. The kid's upset now too. And no matter how much I reassure her, she still thinks she's in trouble for getting her haircut. Am I the asshole? I realise how attached my wife was to Anna's hair, but that in the end of the day, I still think it's just hair. The kid's old enough to decide these things for herself, and she was so happy with her haircut, so I don't really think I did anything wrong here.
How old did he say the kid was?
8. So I reckon grade 2?
I don't know if 8 is really old enough to decide to make your haircut decisions. But if she was really happy with the haircut, then it's like, who did it hurt?
Yeah, you did something right. If she's happy, like, it's
totally
fine.
And it does seem like the wife is, like, it'd be interesting to know what hair the wife has, whether she is projecting her feelings through the daughter, being like, oh, no, you want nice, lovely long hair because her hair isn't lovely and long.
Yeah.
But it seems like a bit of an overreaction from the wife.
Oh, to leave for
drive off.
Yeah, drive off. And leave your kids and your husband at home.
Yeah.
It's a bit dramatic.
I can understand being annoyed because he's done something that he knew would upset his wife.
Yes.
And but that sort of reaction, and now the little girl is thinking it's her fault.
Yeah.
It's like, that's kind of where the wife is crossing the lines, where she should have just let the husband know and not had the kid getting involved in their issues.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. Well, I guess at the end of the day, this child is a human being. It's not a toy that she can just style however she wants to as well. I think maybe the husband could have maybe told his wife and given her a heads up and been like, look, we're doing this. I can't say no. Like, this is happening. Because he's like, oh, what could I have done?
Instead of the surprise when she gets home.
Yeah. Sometimes, it's the shock that's worse than the actual thing.
Yeah.
Because you get taken back and you feel like you've been sort of like betrayed and like he hasn't been open with you. Yeah. But then maybe if he knew that she was going to act like this no matter what, he was just like, well... It's better to ask for forgiveness
than permission.
Absolutely. Well, you know what? The hairdresser could have given him the ponytail. Like,
Give him that ponytail to the mom.
Here's the bag of hair. Here you go. All is not lost. No. So, I don't know. I think that's a little bit more of a complex one. I don't think the asshole.
Everyone's the asshole there. I think it's like a mutual thing because he should have communicated better with his wife and shouldn't have just sprung that on her. Because it's a joint decision about their kid. And she shouldn't have maybe overreacted as much. But maybe she wouldn't have overreacted as much if she got a heads up. If she wasn't just had it sprung on her. And it might just be interesting to find out like what her motivation was for keeping the girls. Maybe she was worried that the girl would want a short haircut but then not like it.
Yeah.
Because, you know, when you're like... Kids don't necessarily have the brain capacity to think their decisions through properly. And she might see the photo and be like, yeah, I like that on the model. And then they get it done and she could have ended up crying. Luckily, she loved it and it like worked out well for the little girl.
Yeah.
But they easily could have gone the other way where this little girl could have been in like tears and because the dad didn't think through like the fact that kids don't have really much like
self-awareness.
Like they can't really work out like the consequences to their actions at that age of 8.
Yeah.
Maybe a really easy solution here is wife swap with the other one.
Yeah, the other one.
Do the hair. Do the old switcheroo, and then that's totally fine.
Problem solved.
Yeah, that's the easy
relationship
solution.
Saved.
Yeah. Mic drop.
My grandma, she cut my grandpa's hair while he was asleep. So,
why? Because Granny was just like,
so
come here, you bastard.
They weren't even married at that time. I think they were like quite still fresh in the dating.
Yeah.
And he'd fallen asleep on the couch and he had a comb over and my grandma hated it. So she just got a pair of scissors and cut his comb over off.
Oh, shit. So it was just
Imagine waking up. Imagine waking up from your nap and your toupee's gone.
Where is it?
Yeah.
My grandma was very much a character. She would tell it exactly how it was, and she hated the fact that he was doing a comb over. So while he slept, she just chopped it off. And my grandpa just was like, well, this is my new hair now.
Yeah.
Wow,
Oh
did he
God.
shave it or did he leave it?
He had the typical old, the bald patch of the...
with the hair around.
But I still think that is better than the pretend comb over.
Yeah.
You're not fooling
my
anyone with a
God.
comb over.
No.
I remember in my apprenticeship, I had this old guy and he had like a short back and sides, no hair on top, but he grew a section of hair from the left side, which went all the way over to the other side. So this little piece of hair probably had maybe like 20 strands on it. Like it wasn't much. It wasn't much. And you know when like...
You ain't fooling no
No,
one.
you ain't fooling no one. And so the urge to just cut it off, but you couldn't because, you know, you do what your client wants sometimes. Yeah. But, I'll never forget. That's always going to be in my brain. One of those things.
Well, my grandma let those intrusive thoughts win.
Yeah, she did.
And she just did it while he slept. You know, I think they were like a few weeks into dating as well. So it was
He stayed around.
Yes.
He hung around.
How good.
Well, he knew what he was getting into after that.
Yeah.
So we all know hairdressers are basically like a cheaper form of therapy. Have you ever had like any juicy like sort of confessions come out as you're doing someone's hair?
I got to think now because I got to be careful.
Yeah, just make sure you're not a current client.
Yeah, I'm like, oh God, like I have to be careful. I don't think that it would be kind of like a confession, but just things like finding out that they're being cheated on like during their appointment.
Wow.
And things like
That's
that.
Wait,
brutal.
how did they find out during their appointment?
Long story short, the boyfriend was meant to be somewhere else and she got notifications on her phone from the front door camera. Oh. And it was during the appointment, and so it was kind of like trying to navigate that and keep her upbeat like in the appointment, which was a bit horrific, but that was a very fun.
Jeez, just watching it unfold through the ring door.
Yeah,
I should have seen someone turn up. That is like, and you just think how gut wrenching that would be.
Yeah,
but also how dumb is the guy? Does he not remember he's got a ring doorbell?
I don't know. Men are dumb.
Like, you literally have a camera on your front door that you would know about because they make a sound.
Yep. Maybe he thought he changed the settings or something, idiot. Or I don't know.
Take them through the back door.
Yeah, they probably did.
Yeah.
He probably did later.
Yeah.
Oh my God, that's wild.
Jeez, yeah. That would be a hard one to navigate as you're doing their foils, watching their life sort of unfold and fall
and it's hard because like they just want to leave.
Yeah, and you've got like, a whole head of foils. Like,
you can't be leaving.
City.
Yo, I do have one more story.
Yeah, go do it.
I do have one more. Again, when I was working from home, I feel
like a battle zone.
I feel like as soon as like I started working in a salon, people just became a little bit more refined, or
maybe because they're in a public place.
They're in a public place, so things kind of didn't really get out.
You went to Newport, and people were like, "This isn't Redcliffe no more."
No, it's not. We've got to
sort it out.
Got to sort my shit out. So I had a client rock up. She was a little bit late and she came in with like typical hangover meal from Macca's. And so she was hungover. She's like, I'm so sorry. Like I'm just so hungover, but I bought breakfast and she brought me a hash brown. So I'm like, brought me a hashie, you're all good. all is forgiven.
Yeah.
And so she sits down and I started her hair, like everything was going pretty good, and I didn't have an aircon in my home salon, like it was just a fan, but it wasn't that hot at this point. And so sometimes through the appointment she was kind of like, oh, I'm just getting a bit hot, and I guess it's just hot flushes from being hungover or something. And then it gets to the point where we're ready to rinse out. So when I had my home salon, the front room of the house was where I did all the hair, and then we just walked down the hallway, and then the immediate left was the bathroom where I had the plastic basin and stuff set up. Had a few plants in there, make it look nice, make it feel fancy. And so we go in and I'm taking her foils out, and you know how some lighteners just have that smell? Like they have that smell to it, so you get a bit gassed out by it. And so I was taking her foils out, and she's just like, oh, look, I'm just not feeling very well. And I was just like, oh, I'll go get you some cold water. And she's just like, oh, whereabouts is the bathroom? I'm like, oh, it's literally just here. Like, if you need to go, go. And so I go to the kitchen, I grab some really cold water, grab like a cold towel for her too if she needs to put on her chest or whatever. And I go back in, and she's thrown up in the bathroom sink.
Oh, no.
Right across from the basin. And this sink, announced to her, it didn't drain properly. So it's one of those sinks how, you know how you push the plug down and then it like, and then you have to push it.
So
and
it doesn't have the holes, it's just like the one that pushes in, pushes out.
Yeah, pushes in and pushes out, right? So she's vomited in the sink, and by the time I've come in, she's turned the water on to get the vomit to go down, but it's just started filling up, and I'm standing there like, what the hell? So she's trying to plunge her vomit down the sink.
Oh, and it would have stank.
It was fresh sausage and egg McMuffin. And I was just like, what the actual fuck? And so I'm like, look,
you're being so chill. You're like, don't even worry about it. In your head, you're like, fuck my
what am I going to do? And I'm like, look, we have to get these foils out, so you're going to have to sit back down. So she's like laying there getting her foils rinsed out while her vomit's just chilling slowly
rising up
in the freaking sink. And she's like, I'm so sorry. I'm like, oh, it's okay. It's all good. And like we finished the appointment and she left. Like she did offer to like clean it, but at that point I'm like, look, just go.
Yeah,
like just you're not well. Yeah. You're fine.
Was there like a toilet nearby?
Yes. So the toilet was literally next door. Like literally next to that door.
So she had options.
She had options, but she must have just got to the point where she was just like, oh.
When it just suddenly comes up and you run to the first.
Yeah, the first thing.
Lucky it wasn't a fiddle leaf, man. Oh. Could have been a fiddle.
There was one in there.
Yeah.
Could have done it.
Fucking hard to grow.
They are so hard. Oh, maybe it would have helped.
Yeah.
You never know. But yeah, it was just one of those things where she left and I had to go back in and take the U-bend out and
fuck, that's
awful. Oh, you can laugh about it now.
But back then it would have been very not funny. I vomited at the hairdresser once, same thing. I was so hungover. I went to an awards night the night before. Look, whenever there's free booze, I'm just the monster. Anyways, went to the made it to my hair appointment, was sitting there and same thing. I was like, fuck, I'm getting hot. And they put the heat thing on me because they're trying to speed it. And my hairdresser, Hannah, love you. She's speeding and she's been doing my hair for so long, so she's seen me in the most disgusting states. And I just went, I was like, I'm just going to go to the toilet. Went to the toilet, threw my guts up, flushed it. No one even knew. I was like, that was
that was good.
Rough. Yeah, nobody even knew.
Stealth.
Yeah, but I also, around the spicy cough time, I took some clients at home around spicy cough season just because I couldn't go out and trade and I was just taking clients at home. It wasn't against the law or anything. I could have a certain amount of people in my home, but yeah, I took a few people there. My birthday is in March and for my birthday that year, I think I was making a lot of butt jokes and one of my friends gave me a dildo that was made for anal, and I was like, it really stunk. It didn't smell like it had been in a bum. But I promise this will come back to the clients. Anyways, okay. It didn't smell like it had been in a bum, but it did smell like potpourri or something. I don't know. I think it had been just in a bag of dicks for a very long time. And my friend gifted it to me. So I cleaned it in the sink, and then it was one that you could suction on a wall so you could just back onto it. So I just stuck it in my sink. I stuck it on the wall in the kitchen. At my Bowen Hills house. So I had this big, and then the best lighting was in my lounge room. So I actually set up my lounge room as a studio, and then the sink was sort of right there. And the people that was like the way I set it up is they were sort of set up as an extension of my dining table on a high chair with some lighting. I took maybe 3 clients that morning. All of them would have seen it. No one said a thing. They were just like, I think they just thought she's been locked up getting freaky.
She's edgy.
Yeah, she's dick stuck on the wall. And
she's being safe, not mingling with the peoples.
Yeah. I was single then, so
she's following the quarantine rules.
Yeah. And I was like, God, I hadn't even used it, but it would have looked sus as because there's this dick's just stuck on the wall, and no one said anything. They're just like, "See you later, babe. Thanks." I'm like,
I would have said something.
Yeah, I wish
I'd be like, what's that massive dildo that you've got stuck to your...
on the wall? No one said anything, and I was just like, I think that's just, they assume that's just, they're like, oh yeah, if the shoe fits, Mara's probably doing that. Fair enough. So
just imagine you sitting there and you're just like...
Yeah, I think I've still got the video of it. I might, for those listening, I'll post it somewhere and you can find that. Because I showed my whole studio and then there's just this dick on the wall.
Oh my God.
So
that just reminds me of people that were putting photos up on outfit photo taking in the mirror, and then you can see stuff in their back. And they're like, you maybe want to all of those photos that were going about where people didn't clean their rooms and had certain suspect things in the background.
That happened, and everyone was.
It
just
actually reminds me, nothing to do with hair, but my partner. So he used to be a removalist, and he's got a ton of stories. But he said the amount of times people forgot that they had their vibrators and their sex toys in their bedside tables.
Yeah. And they would of course.
They would pick them up. Yeah. And he said one day he was moving a guy and he picked up the bedside table and the drawer just came straight out, and all of these dildos just fell onto the floor and they were down, and then they went down the stairs.
Imagine trying to pick them up.
Yeah, you're like, oh!
And you're like, where's the tongs?
And he said one of them was he's like, it was big. He came to me, he's like, it was like this. He's like, it was a fist. He's like, I didn't even know people would. He's like, how?
The fist would have.
He was very perplexed by how someone could have something that size. He's like, it was a fist.
To be honest, have you seen some of the shit on TikTok about massive alien ones?
Oh, yeah, I used to work at Sexpo, so
there you go.
That was just all above board. Yeah, that was pretty... That was just a day in the office, really.
Yeah. Well, actually hair-related, and this happened recently, so I can say it's in the new salon. But just recently I had a client, and I did her hair, and it was so nice and curled and everything. She's like, oh, God, I wish that this would hold. And I said, oh, you can actually get those silk sleeping... hair things.
Yeah.
I think they're by that silk place. I forget what it's called. And I'm like, you should get one of those because then you can wrap your hair up in that and then take it out the next day and it should be fine. And she's just like, oh, do you have one? And I was just like, yeah, it currently houses my...
It's where all my sexy toys
So when I moved house, everyone's got a drawer. We're not shy here.
Yeah.
And I was like, what am I going to put these in so that it's not suspect?
You can't wrap them separately.
Just get the
butcher's paper.
Yeah, butcher's paper and wrap them all up individually. And the only thing that I had in near me at the time was this silk.
And it worked.
And they're still in there.
If anyone ever breaks into your house, wind it up like your pillowcase. Like bash them. Don't go breaking into Siobhan's. She's got a pillowcase full of dicks and she's not afraid of using it.
I'm just out of myself. My partner's probably going to be like, what the actual fuck? I do have a partner, by the way. It's fine.
They're for him.
Yeah. He wishes.
That's wild. I guess the last thing, and maybe a bit of a feel-good one to end on, what's the most rewarding part of your job?
I am one of the people that can genuinely say I love going into work every day.
Yeah.
And I think it's the people that you surround yourself with 100%, because so much shit can happen in our day in the hair industry. So many clients come in and they do offload onto you, and it's hard to not take that home with you, which sometimes I do. Sorry, Andy. But sometimes I do take it home with me. But as long as you kind of like surround yourself with people that are very like-minded and that you can kind of lean on, like Catherine, who she owns Cliff Lashes and Brows, and we have become very, very good friends over the last year or year and a half, and I can lean on her a lot to just blurt it all out and shit talk and everything like that. But other than that, like I just love doing hair. I think once you find something that you're good at and that you love doing, so I don't do short haircuts, but I hire my mum for that. So my mum is a barber and a short hair cutting specialist, so she works for me. And I don't like doing like certain hair colours and stuff like that. I love doing blondes and lived in colours and long hair and stuff like that. So as long as you find something that you're good at and you love doing, it's so good.
And you can genuinely make a really positive impact on someone's day, funnily enough. So that's amazing. Well, guys, if you want to get in contact with Siobhan, she's over in the Peninsula, over at Newport. We'll put all the links to get in contact with her. I had a little sticky beak at her work before we got on her on. She is so talented. She's been very humble about how good at blondes. How good at looking after blondes she is. So definitely check her out, and it's been a pleasure having you on board.
Thank you so much.
Yeah, thank you guys for coming in.
Thank you.